So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Webinar Wednesday from Sight and Sound Technology on this, the 6th of April, 2022. My name is Stuart Lawler from Sight and Sound Technology. My colleague, Carl Brayley, I think will be joining us in due course. He's been slightly delayed, but he will be with us shortly. Our very special guest today is James Butler from our tech support department. James he's just telling me off air, he's been working in Sight and Sound for quite a while, and he has built up a huge pool of knowledge, some of which I think he's going to share with us today in our tech surgery, where you set the agenda. Before we start today, I just want to mention that it's a little over 2 years, the 25th of March 2020 to be specific, that we started Webinar Wednesday. And at the time, I think at the beginning of the very first lockdown, when really none of us knew what was going to happen in the world, we were doing this on a very casual basis, I suppose, just running a couple of sessions to see where it would go. And we never thought that Webinar Wednesday would become what it has been. And that's thanks to all of you who have participated and contributed and joined us for any or all or any number of the sessions we've been running over the last 2 years. And indeed, it's things that we intend to continue doing. So thank you very much to everybody for your support. It's very much appreciated here at Sight and Sound. Now, if you'd like to get in touch with us today, and really today it is all about you, our audience, we do want to hear your questions. Please do so by raising your hand. You can press Alt and Y on the Zoom meeting platform or activate the raise hand button if you're on a mobile device. Alternatively, you can type in the chat, and I will be keeping an eye on chat and raised hands. You can do that by pressing Alt and H, type a message in chat, or you can activate the chat button if you're on a mobile device. Whilst James will do his best to answer your questions today, we may not be able to deal with every specific issue, and we may ask you to take your question offline and contact tech support. So we will do our best to get through as much as we can, but some queries get quite involved, and we do need you to give us very specific information that would not be maybe useful to everybody else tuned into the session today. And I see we're getting some raised hands already, so we will start with the questions very shortly. But before we do that, James Butler is one of our tech support service staff working on the tech support team, doing hugely important work, and always on the phones and emails and always troubleshooting and trying to find solutions to problems. So James, welcome to the Webinar Wednesday session. Thanks for joining us first.
You're right, Stuart. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. And great to have you. It's great to have you with us. We have, I think, a lot of people want to chat, and I think we're looking forward to some questions over the next hour. But before we do that, James, could we find out a little bit about you? How long have you been working at Sight and Sound?
So I think it's roughly about 15 years now. So yeah, quite a long time. I started out in the workshop, so kind of a lot of with the kind of the physical building of the machines, and kind of a lot of kind of preloading software, and then kind of from there I kind of transferred into the tech support department. Mm-hmm. And that's where I am at the minute, I think.
I know from working with you, because you and I guess out of maybe some of the tech support team I wouldn't work as closely with, but you and I tend to talk at least once a week, I would think, because a lot of your support, or at least some of what you do, you support a lot of the Braille technology that we have out there. So I know you do that, and you do that really well. What other things do you do on the tech support desk?
Oh gosh, yeah. I just generally try to cover everything. So any kind of particular product, I'll be picking up tickets for. As well as that, I also deal with a lot of the repairs that come on site. So a lot of the Braille products that come on site, or the embossers, and sometimes the laptops. But we do have our kind of a full-time person for that as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I generally like to get myself involved in all products rather than anything kind of specific. Mm-hmm. But yeah, lately it does seem that I've been covering quite a lot of the Braille Sense products and the Braille displays as well.
Was that interesting for you maybe when you came into Sight and Sound first? And I suppose Braille technology was in a different place, but seeing this, what must have been very different technology to a fully sighted person that you mightn't have been exposed to before.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially like 15 years ago when just coming out of school, and someone showed me a Braille display, and it could have been an alien artifact for me. I wouldn't have had any idea of how you could possibly use that. But yeah, I mean, once you know, it makes perfect sense.
What about when you're not working, when you're not slaving over a PC or rebuilding a Braille display, when you're not in Sight and Sound, what do you like to do to chill out and relax?
I'm very much a movie person. I'm like mainly towards kind of horror. Not just horror though, but yeah, I'm a bit of a fanatic on all films, really.
Excellent.
So yeah, yeah, all films from all different periods or genres. Yeah, I just enjoy films, really.
You must be a great guy to have at a table quiz on the movies round then.
Yeah,
Be a good guy.
I like my general film knowledge as well.
Okay. James, before we start bringing people in with questions, and there are some waiting, I just wanted, maybe if you don't mind, just reminding us how people can get tech support, because there are a few ways, and maybe some things that people could do to help you to make sure they maximize the tech support time. Because sometimes somebody might ring and say, oh, I'm not near my computer at the moment, but could you tell me something? What kind of helps you to do your job even better?
Just generally kind of a lot of version information is very helpful. So if you're calling in for an issue with JAWS, it's very useful to know which version of JAWS you have, as well as what version of programs you're using it with, because it could be that those programs are kind of not compatible with each other. So I mean that could be the answer. But yeah, it generally helps to have that, to start with that, get that information first, and then we go from there. There are a few different ways you can call up for support. First one is just give us a call. We'll create you a ticket, and then that ticket gets assigned to an engineer. You can also just email support@sightandsound.co.uk. Anything that's emailed to that address gets automatically converted into a ticket. So we'll either respond to the email, or if you've given us a number and you prefer a callback, we can respond to that as well.
That support ticket concept, I suppose, is really good, isn't it? Because you have this paper trail,
Yeah,
very, very easily to sort of find out what's what.
so it is something that we've kind of over the past few years now with ConnectWise. Yeah, it is very useful to have. So yeah, essentially everything has a trail. So if it's an issue that's kind of been ongoing for quite a while, we can easily kind of show the process of what we've covered. So it kind of stops kind of people going around in like kind of a circle, repeating kind of things that they might have tried before.
Okay, good to know. Okay, that's great. James, thanks for giving us a really good overview there of the tech support, and for telling us a little bit about yourself as well. I think it's always interesting to know a bit about the person. So we're going to start with our questions. And again, I just want to remind people that James is going to do his best. I'll do my best to chip in if I can be of use, but we may ask you to take this offline and contact tech support, in which case you can do that in the methods that James has just mentioned. Now, I do see some questions coming in on chat. I will go to chat in a few moments, but we're going to start with Alex Soto, and then we'll move on to our good friend Andrew Summers up in Glasgow. So Andrew, keep your hand up there. We will get to you. So Alex, I'm going to invite you to unmute, and we'd love to hear your question for James, please.
Hello?
Hi, Alex. Hello, how are you?
Hello. Good, thank you. How about yourselves?
Not a bother, thank you.
Okay,
How you doing, Alex?
good. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, James. Let me just lower this hand now. My hand's tired.
Don't worry, we can do that, Alex. Thanks. Yep.
No, it was a joke.
Oh, yes. That's right. Okay.
I meant the virtual hand.
Apologies. Yes, yeah.
I have a few questions, but they might have been answered on other tech times and things like that. I'm using JAWS 2022 on a Windows 10 laptop, just to let you know. The first thing is I have two different laptops, and one's a little newer than the other. On the newer one, when I pop in my USB, it will automatically bring my USB, what's inside of it, up on the screen. But on this other laptop, when I pop the USB in, the memory stick, it doesn't automatically pop up. If there's a way I can ask the computer to automatically open that USB or that memory stick so that it just automatically pops up and I'm not having to go, Windows E and then look for the flash drive name and things like that.
I see. And the one that it does open with, it opens automatically. Is that a Windows 10 machine? Yeah,
it's Windows 10 2022 JAWS.
Okay. So yeah, the option will be a Windows option, so it will be specific to Windows. Just having a quick look there. Auto open.
I seem to remember, funny, Alex, I've had something and I've observed something the same on a Windows 10 machine. I seem to remember this being something that worked very well in previous version of Windows. But you have to go and sort of find the drive yourself.
Yeah. I was just having a quick look. So it does seem that the option is located in the settings options on Windows 10. So just having a quick look. So I am being directed to settings, devices. Let me have a look there. So I'm on Windows 11 now, so that's moved everything about. Devices. Let's just have a look at auto. Here we go. So I'm on Windows 11, but I've just gone into the settings folder, and I've just typed in the autoplay.
Okay.
And then I've pressed enter, and then we've got the use autoplay for all media devices. Okay. And then we've got an option here for removable drive.
Yeah.
And then we can have a look. So we probably just want to put that on open folder view. So open folder to view files. So if you choose that, that should apply it.
Okay. So I'm in settings now, and then you said go to devices.
Yes. So I'm explaining it slightly different because mine has been moved because I'm on Windows 11. But yeah, if you go into devices, and then in devices, you should have an option for autoplay.
Okay.
Alex, can we let you try that? And maybe if it doesn't work, just raise your hand again. Is that okay?
Yeah. Just let me get past this one then. I think this one might have been asked a while back, but Monday afternoons I use a PC with a keyboard that is basically communal. I'm the only visually impaired person, but occasionally there'll be some people that will tick the mute on the volume. Is there any keystrokes that I can use to unmute the volume without having someone to say, hey, can you come look at the speaker. Is that muted? If it is, can you, click on that and unmute that for me?
Okay. So with JAWS as well, especially on the later versions, they do have it so it will always unmute any. It will always unmute the volume when it loads up. So yeah, I mean, it depends when they've muted it, but if you reload JAWS, that should unmute the volume.
Okay, I never thought about that. Okay.
Yeah, and I think my understanding
the
is
only problem is if the voice isn't working, is there a keystroke to turn off JAWS? Is it just isn't it
I think there is a
JAWS
reload
key,
JAWS
key F4 or something?
Yeah,
I think it's JAWS key F4.
If you do JAWS key F4 and then enter.
And then enter, that should turn it off. And then I'll just do the quick hotkeys back,
Hotkey to load it back.
Turn it back on.
Yeah. But if you want to try the devices, Alex, and if that doesn't work, come back to us while we're still here, and we see how you get on.
Yeah. Okay. I have a couple other questions, but I'll pass it on to someone else
if you want to come back, and we'll just go back to a few and come back to us then later on if you want.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Alex. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now, I'm delighted to say that Carl Brealey has joined us from Northampton, live from Northampton. Carl is in a different part of the building to James. So we're going to go to Andrew Summers in Glasgow, friend of the show, as they say. So Andrew, great to have you. If you'd like to unmute yourself, we'd love to hear your question.
Hello, hello everybody. It's good to see you all back again, or hear you all back, I should say. A query to Outlook with JAWS when opening up an email. When opening up an email, when you've opened up the email, it actually reads from the unopened email the name of the person, the subject, and when it was sent before it reads the actual email. Is there a way with JAWS that you can stop all that reading before it gets to the email?
So
I've gone through everywhere.
So when you open an email, it's reading the previous email. Is that right?
No, it's reading the list of the first email, the email that you've opened in the list of emails from your inbox or folders. So if I open up, say, like an email from you, I would hear the list of your email from the inbox. Then after it's read all the bump about from you, the day when it was sent and all that, it will then come back and read the email itself.
Okay, so it's kind of it's reading the chain, but probably in the wrong order.
Yeah. So if I was to open up my Outlook, as I am going to do now, I will open it. I'm in it now. Stuart Lawler reminder, right?
Okay.
So I've got a whole list of emails here. So when I press enter on one of them, I get the email that is written inside that. But before it reads that email, it will read all that bump before it reads the email, which is a load of rubbish. I don't want to hear all that. I want to hear straight into the email and not hear who it's from, the time it was sent and the date it was sent.
Andrew, I'm just having a quick look for you because I have seen this issue, and I'm just, if you bear with me, I'm just looking in the Outlook. So in quick verbosity, if you go into in Outlook in your inbox, if you do insert and V,
yes,
and if you hit the tab key once, Sorry, when you press Insert and V, sorry, you're placed in an edit field. Type the word read. And hit the tab key once and scroll down with the arrow keys to an option that says messages automatically read. I suspect that's not ticked. You want to tick that.
Right.
And I think that's going to do exactly what you're looking for.
Is that in the Outlook settings?
It's in the quick. Exactly.
Yeah.
In the quick settings with Outlook open. Do it with Outlook open.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that should do it for you.
And I've got a workaround for sort of Alex, who was on before me, for making your USB being seen by Explorer. If you go to Control Panel, if you're on Windows 10, and go to Audio Devices, open that. It says something like use all audio devices, the same as what James said with Windows 11. Go into autoplay, and then you've got a load of combo boxes for all different things that you've got installed on your computer, like Windows Explorer. So you want to go to removable drive and go down to open folder to view files.
Okay.
And then apply it, okay it, and then send, and then all is done. So every time he would unplug his USB and plug it back in, Windows Explorer will open.
Yeah, that's great. I can confirm that will do the same thing also. Yeah, just
Yes.
kind of two different locations to
Yes.
check as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry, James. I spoke to you before in tech support once or twice.
I think I do recall. Yeah.
Andrew,
well, it's
thanks.
good to hear your voice.
Yeah, and great to hear you. And you know something, again, this is a great example of a session where users are helping each other out. Members of the audience are coming back with solutions. So we really appreciate you taking the time to do that, Andrew. And check the Outlook.
Well, if I can be assistance any other time, if you want to do me as a panelist, I'll be willing to come on as a panelist.
Let's make sure we get you on. And Alex has just sent a message on chat to say thank you to you as well. So listen, look after yourself and thanks a million, okay?
No problems.
All right. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks.
Okay. Now Carl Braley is back with us, I do believe, or is joining us at the moment. I'm just going to remind people again that you can raise your hand by pressing Alt and Y, and you can chat by pressing Alt and H. We do have more hands raised, and I know there are messages on chat. So we're going to go to Mike Brace, who's another friend of Sight and Sound, has been on our podcast before, and then we're going to go to Sandra Gers. And then if anyone else wants to raise your hand, please put your hand up and we'll get to you in due course. So Mike, you should be able to unmute yourself. I think we have you.
Can you hear me now?
We can. How are you?
Very good, very good. Apart from a bit of a flaky web Wi-Fi at the moment. I've got two quick points, hopefully. The first is, would we be able at some stage get a webinar about the difference between a Windows 10 and Windows 11? I've just upgraded to Windows 11 with a new machine, and it's driving me around the bend in terms of all the things that I've learned over the last 10 years to try. I now find half of them don't seem to work in Windows 11, or I have to do it differently. So if there is a plea, if we could have a quick check through on what's different with Windows 11 from 10, that would be fantastic. And the second question is hopefully a very easy one. I do a fair amount of talks to schools and after dinner things, and is there a way that I can mute the chat? Because what happens with JAWS is that people are going to the chat room and I then put off my stroke because I keep hearing all the questions in the chat room. So is there a way of me muting that from my end, or is it got to be the person running the Zoom the other end?
Okay, James, any comments on anything around that?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't normally have a lot of conferences or anything like that. When I'm talking on the phone, I do have a mute button on my headset. But is it a particular application that you're using at the time, Mike?
It's on Zoom. So if I'm like
On
just
Zoom.
now I was listening to your introduction, and someone then put a thing in the chat room saying, "Welcome, it's nice to be here," and that obviously meant I couldn't hear what you were saying. So is there a way of me stopping that chat?
Okay.
Yeah. So the only way I've seen of doing that, Mike, and it may be temporarily useful anyway, is to mute the speech output from JAWS. So use what's called speech on demand, which means JAWS will not automatically read anything. You have to issue a keystroke. So you would press the JAWS key with the space bar followed by the letter S for speech.
Yeah, I've tried that a couple of times. It doesn't seem to work, but I'll give it another. JAWS key is the Alt key, is it?
No, the JAWS key, if you're on a laptop, it's the caps lock key. If you're on a desktop, it would be the number pad, the 0 key on the number pad.
Oh, right. Okay. With number pad on. Yeah.
With number pad off.
Yeah,
so
off.
that becomes the insert key, and then you do the space bar.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've tried that and it just doesn't seem to work, but I will give it another whirl. That's brilliant. And obviously the Windows 11 stuff would be really, it's just silly things like second folders or having, like others have said, whereas before you could go into your emails and change stuff or go down and change the Wi-Fi connection. You now have to go into a totally different route with Alt L and then tab across to my Wi-Fi and all this stuff. It just drives me around the bend.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea. Windows 11 webinar is definitely going to be something on our cards. We'll have to see if James or his colleagues would like to help us with that one.
Yeah,
not putting you on the spot there, James, but
no, I think
probably more
that
experience with Windows 11.
Yeah, I think we could kind of put together something like that.
And just a very basic one. I've got a standard keyboard which I've plugged into my new machine, and that means that by and large the F keys seem to be as they used to. On the new machine with Windows 11, all of the F keys have got toggles. So I spent 2 hours thinking I had a fault about my video camera and I had it reinstalled and everything else. And it turns out on Windows 11 that F10 is a toggle to turn video on and off. And that's all it was. I'd managed to push the button and turn the video off on the machine.
Yeah,
so it's silly things like that. It just drives you around the bend.
I know, and they're so easy when you know the answers and you waste so much time.
Yes.
Yeah. Mike, thanks for the feedback as always, and we'll definitely put that on the list.
Cool.
Take care. Thanks, Emil. Okay, now I think we are going to go to Sandra Gare. I think we can also welcome Carl Brealey officially. So welcome, Carl. Hey, back. Carl is in the James is on the ground floor. Carl is on the first floor in the Northampton building, and I'm of course here in Dublin. So yeah, Carl, good to see you. Anyway, how are you keeping?
Very well, and it's very good, very nice to be back. It's been a little while.
It's been too long, to be honest. So we're delighted.
I've been absent without leave, so
you have been without leave.
I need to make up for it now and never miss another.
Right. Well, listen, we're going to go to Sandra Gare. So, Sandra, you should be able to unmute yourself, and we'd love to chat to you. And
can you hear me?
We have you. How are you?
You can hear me. This is amazing. So I was at something else once where, because there's no got it button at the beginning, it wasn't working, but this one is working, so I'm rather relieved. Apologies for the dog noises. We've got dogs.
No
I've got a couple of questions. One is a Windows and one is an iPhone question. But first, I've got a suggestion for the person who has problems with the chat. One way of not hearing the chat is not opening the chat panel in the first place, because then it won't read it to you. Another way of coping with it, if you can have speech on demand, on command only, but if you need the speech to actually read what you're going to say, then it's not the best. But one way is to just program your left hand to just be pressing control every so often, so that all you hear is maybe a snippet, and just press control like that every so often, so you can just carry on speaking and not be put off. My first question is about Windows. I've got a solid state drive, and I believe you can't defragment them or something. So what's a good way of disk cleaning and freeing up space and stuff like that?
Oh, James, that's definitely your domain. I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah, so I've always been told, yeah, you shouldn't defrag SSDs. I'm not completely up to date on the reason for that. Generally, I use disk cleanup.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I've seen that on there, but I thought, oh, I best not touch it. And
yeah, so I mean, that will generally just clear out Windows junk. So it's not going to kind of remove any of your data. It's really just kind of Windows update files that it doesn't need anymore. So yeah, generally I clear up around there, and that should keep your kind of hard drive nice and tidy, pretty much.
And there's another thing on there where it says delete temporary files. Is that a good or a bad?
I mean, temporary files, I mean, the kind of name speaks for itself. It's files that don't need to stay. It's generally files that have been put on there to help install a program, but after that program's installed, it's just not needed anymore. So yeah, temporary files can always be cleared up.
Okay, thanks for that. And my other question, moving to the iPhone, is, you know, when you're in programs, I'm going to use BBC Sounds because that's one I use often, but it's something that happens in various other things too, where you're in a long list. I mean, this happens in Audible as well, and then you come to the end of whatever it is on screen, and it says vertical bar 10 pages or vertical bar 20 pages. I've asked about this before elsewhere, and they've said, oh, you know, 3-finger flip upwards. And it changes the page, but then the screen doesn't change. It's still got the first page on there. So how do you change the? So
one thing I don't have experience in, and I'm also an Android person.
Okay, sorry.
Is I don't have knowledge in the Mac OS voiceover. Generally, Apple support are quite useful. I think they do kind of have a kind of specialized accessibility help desk. I think so. Let me have a look. So I think kind of on the same line as kind of Microsoft have their accessibility.
Yeah, I've got their phone number, but I didn't know Apple have one.
I believe so. Let me just see what I can find. So normally they have it.
I think, sorry, James, while you're looking that up,
yeah.
And God, there was I thinking you were a great guy, and then you say you're an Android person. Oh dear. But anyway, Sandra, I'm not familiar with BBC Sounds because we don't have it over here, but I find if this 3-finger swipe up to move the page doesn't work, sometimes a 3-finger swipe left might do that. So I don't know if it's that I
find it will say page 9. I mean, it doesn't have to be Sounds. It could be Audible or anything with buckets of things on it. But what tends to happen is if I do that, it'll say, like, let's say I'm on page 1 and then it'll say page 9, but then what's on the screen won't reflect what's on page 9. It'll be what it was earlier. So it'll say it's moved the page, but it not actually moved it.
So David on chat is just saying here, you can go into an Apple store and they will arrange tech support in the store. So I think they may have some people there who can support voiceover. I don't know, but that might be another option. Sandra, I'll have a look at that.
I do have a number as well.
Sandra. Good. I'm ready to type it down out.
So the UK number for the accessibility support, Apple accessibility support, is 0800 048
Yeah.
0754.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
No worries.
Sandra. Thanks for your questions. Great to have you on the webinar. So thanks a million for that.
Sandra, I'm just going to highlight this quickly, so don't hijack this quickly, so don't run away. I'm presuming you're the Sandra that I spoke to many moons ago. The name rang a bell, and you are the singer, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
That's it. I thought it was you. I sat there and I'm sitting there thinking, I know that name, and I can't remember.
I'm in that benefit concert that's on in a couple of weeks' time, or next weekend.
Oh wow!
The one with the NFB and World Blind Union and all that for the blind people in Ukraine. And
would you like to give it a shout out and promote it, because I'm sure this I had seen something about it on social media, but just for anyone who might know, give us a shout out if you want.
Yeah, so it's on the 16th of April. That's a Saturday. And I can't remember what time it is. Yeah, give me a sec to find the information in my emails and read it out properly a bit later.
Okay. Do you want to if you want to go and look, and then when you're ready, just stick your hand up again, and we'll make sure we get back to you.
Okay.
Okay. Then you're not under pressure to find it now.
Right then, I'll take my job.
Carl's back, and he's back in control.
Mr. Lawler.
Yes, I'm very glad to give it back to you.
Right,
this is regular webinar Wednesday, James. Don't worry. Carl and I love each other, really.
That's what they say. Right, Louise, it's all down to you. If you can unmute yourself, please.
I am unmuted, hopefully.
You are
Hi,
indeed.
Louise, you are.
Hello. Quick point. So to Mike, I recommend using Zoom with the iPhone if you've got an iPhone rather than the PC, because I personally find it considerably easier. And if I find it easy, then you've got to find it easy, because I'm not great with technology. I've lost a moment. I've got distracted. I've been reading other things, so come back to me, please.
Okay.
Right, no problem. 1 second. Let's move on to the next one. We've got Liz McCluckey. It should be all yours, Liz.
Hi, Liz. Liz.
Hello, Liz. You'll be on a 5 second count. 5 second countdown. Oh, there we go.
Oh, hi, Liz.
I'm unmuted now.
You are indeed.
Oh, right. Sorry about that. I get stuck when it comes to our various folders in the Outlook getting too full. We get an IMAP message up of saying, nothing's going in and nothing's coming out. Basically, everything's chocker. So usually my husband has to come and have a look at it. We're on a desktop computer, and he has to go to the deleted items, or I think some of the folders called junk. And but I would like to I know how to get to the outbox from the inbox, and I know how to get back to the inbox, but I don't know how to get to things like sent items, deleted items, junk, and all the various other folders. Maybe the archive folder would be useful. I'm sure I've asked this question before, Stuart, and I apologize if I've asked it before and forgotten. Sorry.
That's okay. And I think, Liz, I don't know when you may, and I'm not sure if you asked it before, but I think we were in email correspondence about it. Were you using Control and Y?
Control Y?
To go to the list of folders.
All right. And will they all be in there?
Yes, that may be the answer you need.
Oh, right. Okay. I'll try and remember to do that, Stuart. Thank you.
No problem, Liz. Good to talk to you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Liz. Next, we have Mitra. If you could unmute Mitra, please.
Hi, can you hear me now?
We've got you. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Yes, I've got I just got a request regarding these different kind of cursors that exist in JAWS, because there are so many of them now, the invisible, the virtual, the PC, and the rest of it. And I appreciate that some of this stuff on the screens are graphic nowadays, but I can't get my head around these different kind of cursors. And I'm sure they must be quite useful if one knows how to use them, especially the new ones, the invisible, and there's another one which I'm not quite sure about. That's one request. And I don't know if there is something somewhere on one of your webinars somewhere that one can listen to. That would be very helpful. Because things like, I come across websites where, for instance, you want to register for a lecture or a conference, and it just, a pop-up comes on the screen, and then I couldn't get on the pop-up. Eventually I tap, and eventually I landed on it, but I couldn't get to the fields to put my name and address and all the stuff that they were asking for. I don't know. I think it's all graphic. I mean, that's the problem. But I just don't know whether there are any solutions to this sort of situations.
So just on the cursors question on the different types of cursors in JAWS, there is a topic or at least a couple of topics, I think, in the JAWS help that describes the cursors, and there's also information on the JAWS training material, which you can also get from JAWS help, which talks about the different cursors and how they work. So that might be a good way to start. Obviously, if you had questions after reading that, get back in touch with us.
No, it's just a question of the invisible cursor. There are new cursors that have been introduced in the last few years, because obviously I know the difference between virtual and PC, because you route the JAWS to PC or vice versa to get to a field. But that's what I'm trying to say when I said about this. When you can't, I couldn't register on that website, is because it simply doesn't work. I was trying to route the PC cursor to the JAWS cursor, and it just wouldn't go there. Is this to do with I think, how many cursors have we got? We've got PC, virtual,
there are potentially 4, yeah.
For different
things, yeah.
But I mean, these 2 extra ones are really to deal with the graphics situation, aren't they?
The touch cursor is, the invisible cursor is almost like just a little JAWS cursor that you can move around that won't touch the position of the PC cursor or the mouse pointer. So you can kind of move it around the screen. But the JAWS cursor sometimes is less useful than you might like it to be, which I think is what you were saying, where you're getting blank when you're trying to use it.
Yeah. So how do you use this touch cursor? And how do you instigate it? How do you turn it on?
So if you're on a laptop, it's shift, caps lock, and semicolon. And if you're on a desktop, it's shift with the plus key on the number pad. And you'll just have to experiment with it, because it's different in every program how it behaves.
Right. But there are certain areas of the screen that JAWS can't access, like Zoom. That's why you can't get to those icons at the bottom of the screen, isn't it? I mean, this touch and invisible are not going to solve the problem, are they?
I'm not sure if they would.
But you can't get there. You just simply can't get there. And do you know why certain fields you can't just land on them? Because I just couldn't. And eventually somebody said do left click, and for some reason it's suddenly got onto that field.
Yeah, I think it really depends on what you're trying to navigate through. And yeah, you're right. Sometimes you tab through things and it skips fields, and it depends on the layout of the application as well. It's kind of difficult to be specific. I think this is probably an example. If you have a specific one, maybe to call in to tech support, James, would that be a
Yeah,
better? Because I
definitely.
think there's definitely some. It's a
I
bit more
think
in
it's
depth.
probably something that we could troubleshoot remotely. Have a look at what we're trying to access. A lot of times, kind of majority of the time, we just find that the website or the kind of the buttons that you're trying to access just haven't been labeled correctly. So sometimes it's a case of getting back to the web developers to let them know. But I'm sure if you want to call in and create a case, we can get someone to kind of go through and troubleshoot that with you.
Thank you. By the way, you know, the lady was asking how to scroll down on iPhone. Yes. I think on the right-hand side at the bottom, there is a bar. It says 100%, 90%. I mean, usually with my little finger on the right-hand side, on the right bottom hand side, you can just, it's like a wheel, it goes up and down. You can, instead of scrolling up and down with 3 fingers, you can use that.
Flick that up and down. Okay, yeah. I think I actually know the bar you're talking about. Yeah. So Sandra may find that useful. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Great to see people helping each other on these sessions. So thanks a million.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're just going to go back to Sandra quickly because she is back on. Sandra, if you could unmute yourself, please.
Hiya. Yeah, I'm. Can you hear me again?
We can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got the info now.
Brilliant.
Sorry about that. So it's called We're With You. That's WE''RE space WITH space the letter U. We're With You, and it's going to be broadcast on April the 16th at 2 p.m. Eastern time, which means 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 p.m. here. And it says some hours, so I don't know how long it's going to be. So you might just want to have like stick it on in the background or something. I'm in it. I'm singing Because We Believe, if that rings any bells. It's on Mushroom FM and it's on ACB Cafe as well, and it's going to be streamed on YouTube. And when I get a YouTube link, I can send it through to you guys if you like.
Yeah, and if you want to send it, we'll get it on our social media as well and put it out to help promote it. So we'll tune in to hear you, Sandra. Yeah, definitely.
We can do that. And whilst we're talking, Sandra, there is a fee for all this.
Oh dear.
What are you asking me to do? Break into song?
A bit of entrapment for you there. Look, you didn't realise. No, we'd love you to do a podcast.
Come on the show.
About what?
About yourself and your singing and all about what you do.
What you've done, where you're going, everything. If you wouldn't mind.
I don't know where I'm going. Yeah, fine.
Or where I've been, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how to like get in touch about that. But you've got my email address anyway.
Yeah, or if you want to,
I've phoned the Sight and Sound tech support so many times.
Okay, or if you want to send an email into sales@sightandsound.co.uk and just say it's for Stuart and Carl, it'll be sent through to us.
We'll do that. I had one final question that maybe people could think about. I don't know, but any accessible ways of compressing video, because I'm intending to do an exam later on in the year and it's online and stuff. You have to upload a video and they say it's like a maximum of 1 gigabyte, and I know that it's not going to be 1 gigabyte. So just wondering if anyone has ideas about how to compress video.
Yeah, there used to be something called QuickTime that I think is gone now.
Okay.
It's not anything I know of, but something. Our webinar Wednesday audience are a very clever bunch. So let's see who comes back with something in the next few minutes.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you, Sandra, and we'll have tune into the Sight and Sound podcast soon. We'll get Sandra on the show.
Brilliant. That's excellent. See, we're there. Right. Next one, Raj, if you could unmute yourself, please.
Hello, Raj.
Raj, I am going to put you on the countdown timer because we do have quite a lot of hands raised, and
we need to move quickly because James is very expensive and he charges per the minute.
yeah, he's costing us a fortune.
I'm all right. Gets me out.
Because he's away from his desk.
Well, you can't say I'm all right. It gets me away, James. You love what you're doing. You should. You surely can't wait to get back to what you were doing.
All these people on the phone are holding for you, James.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're
Right, Raj. Unfortunately, that's a no-go. Rosie, we've moved on to you now, Rosie Keast.
Rosie, I just need to unmute yourself.
Hi, yeah,
Hello.
can you hear me?
We can indeed.
Yeah, I know someone else also came back to say this, but with respect to the chat, yeah, I also find if you close it using Alt-H, then you no longer hear all the questions that are being posted to the chat.
Okay, that's a great tip.
That was the first one. That was the first one that came back. And also headphones. I, up until recently, have been using, just a kind of, just a fairly cheap pair of headphones, but they do after a while get a bit uncomfortable. So I tried to use my Apple AirPods recently, and I was on it was either a Zoom or a Teams call with someone. And although I could hear them, JAWS stopped working. I couldn't hear JAWS through the headphones. So I just wondered how I could, and if it was possible, or what I could do so that I was able to hear JAWS as well as hear the person speaking through Zoom or Teams.
Okay. So there are options in JAWS in the, I think it's in utilities, to specify a sound card that you want JAWS to go through. So if you've got more than one sound device, you can have it kind of go through an alternative route.
Oh, right, okay.
So I would normally just check there. I'm just loading up now so I can.
So where do I go for that then? Is that in JAWS or is that Windows?
So this would be in JAWS.
Okay, right.
You'd want to go into utilities.
Right, okay.
Check sound cards.
Yeah.
Now you've got the option for Windows default. So that will just, if it's set to that will just be whatever you're using for Windows in general.
Yeah, okay.
So I'd just check that that's enabled, and it's not set to use a different sound device.
Right, okay.
Also, it's worth knowing as well, there is a setting that's kind of specific to Bluetooth devices.
Right, okay.
A lot of people are finding that they're having issues with the JAWS speech on a Bluetooth device.
I thought I'd read that somewhere. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so there is an option in Settings Center.
Right, okay.
So if you go into
Settings Center. This is in JAWS again, or this is Windows?
Yeah, so you go into JAWS Utilities.
Yeah, okay, Utilities.
And then Settings Center.
Yeah.
And then you just want to bring up, so it's under User.
Yeah.
And it's called Avoid Speech Cutoff when using Bluetooth headphones or some sound cards.
Right, okay.
So I'd just make sure that's enabled. That seems to have resolved a lot of Bluetooth related issues.
Okay, enabled, lovely, okay. Great, that's lovely. And also my second question, I just have a desktop that I use at the moment with JAWS, but I'm looking to get a laptop as well. And I just wondered if anyone, or what people thought really, because I don't know, I'm half looking at getting a MacBook, but I don't know whether that, or perhaps a Chrome, and I don't know whether that's just going to make things really confusing, having to use both. And I just wondered if anyone had any thoughts on that really.
Okay. Yeah, so with MacBook, there's no kind of available accessibility that we sell.
Yeah.
There is VoiceOver, You do have the option for boot camp, which some people still use, and that just allows you to put Windows on a MacBook. So you can
I had had some, because I have posted on a few different Facebook groups actually, and people seem generally to think that wasn't such a good idea.
It kind of defeats the object of getting a MacBook.
Yeah.
Because you're buying a Mac to run Windows, which is kind of sacrilegious in effect. It's bizarre.
And I'm not sure if it would complicate things with the keyboard layout as well, because that's specific to MacBooks, and with JAWS you've got kind of specific keys that you do need. So I mean, it's just a case of whether you kind of using VoiceOver, which I don't have a lot of experience in. So I mean, I don't know what people think of that. But generally switching to any laptop as well is just getting used to the layout. A lot of laptop providers now do this dual function on the F keys, which really does complicate things a bit. So it's just getting familiar with where your FN key is, if it does have one, and whether that is switched one way or the other. So sometimes you have to hold that FN key to activate F1, or sometimes you have to do it for like a hotkey that will change your brightness or something, or your volume. But because that's not activated in Windows, JAWS won't read it. So I think it's good to just get familiar with a particular laptop, and then you're okay.
But even using like Windows laptop with JAWS, that's going to be slightly different anyway to JAWS, but not as different as a MacBook would be, as the VoiceOver on a MacBook would be.
So I mean, I couldn't really give you any fair comparisons because I've never really used VoiceOver.
I think that's the issue really, that it seems to be, preference. People either use one or the other, and they like, anyway, lovely. Okay, thank you. That's been really helpful. Thank you.
No worries.
Brilliant. Thank you, Rosie.
Thanks, Rosie. Just while Carol's going to the next raised hand, I'm just going to mention we got an email from Mark and Bernadette Chanley, who regularly attend the webinar. Mark was asking about GPS options, and I'm just going to sort of skim through Mark's email. We were talking before we came on here, James and I were talking about Microsoft Soundscape, which might be worth exploring if you have an iPhone. There's also Lazarillo. And we also, Mark was talking about the shortcut key in Microsoft Outlook to create a folder, and that's Control, Shift, and E. So you can create a folder within a subfolder. So I hope that helps your questions, Mark.
Excellent. Right, we're going to go back to Louise Simpson. She's next on the queue. Louise, if you could unmute yourself, please. Hello. No.
Might be on your countdown timer, Carl.
She's definitely on the countdown timer.
There you go.
Right, I'm
Gone.
sorry,
Gone.
Louise, for now, if you'd like to come back in a moment. We're now moving on quickly and swiftly to Harry Mead. If you could unmute yourself, Harry, please.
Hi, am I unmuted?
You are
Harry.
indeed.
Hi, good to talk to you again, Stuart.
You
now
too.
Now that I've retired from RNIB, I should have time to join you more regularly.
Great.
Not quite sure where to begin. To go back to what Sandra was saying, the number that James read out for the accessibility help desk for Apple products, I have to say they are absolutely fantastic. I had about an hour and a bit with them on the phone last night because I've just had to set up a new iPhone, having had to hand in my RNIB one, and they are absolutely amazing for anyone needing them. That is just brilliant. Quick question, when I do the keystrokes to check my battery level in JAWS, so Shift, Caps Lock and B, it tells me how much my battery is, but it doesn't tell me how much time is remaining. And I wondered if there was a workaround for that. Now I can guess it, but having had to reinstall a battery because I knackered the battery by leaving the damn thing plugged in permanently, it would be quite useful to know what's what in terms of how long is left on it.
Does your system tray icon tell you how much time is left as a matter of interest?
How would I get into that?
If you do insert an F11 or JAWS key with F11 and go down to the battery status.
Insert F11. No.
So that means that Windows is not reporting it.
Okay, so that's nothing to do with JAWS. That's fine. But it goes back to what Rosie was saying. When you're choosing a laptop, very important to choose one that's got the keystrokes you want to have accessible to you. I actually use a laptop, but with a plug-in, a normal QWERTY keyboard, because that gives you far, far, far more flexibility.
Yeah, definitely. I've had some people that have just switched to quite kind of full desktop keyboards, and that's just how they use their laptop.
And it makes a big difference. Makes a big difference. And going back to is it Sandra's point on how to condense a video file? I wonder if it'd be worth her looking out Blind Guy Talks Tech, my ex-colleague from RNIB, who's now got his own daily podcast on accessibility, because I know he does a bit of TV work as well, and he may well have a solution.
And that's Stephen Scott, isn't it?
It is Stephen Scott.
Yeah,
You'd find him, I think it's hello at Blind Guy Talks Tech, something like that. They've even got a telephone number on the website. But if you just Google Blind Guy Talks Tech, you could probably get in touch.
Yeah, Stephen does a great show. Always a great guy to chat to.
Yeah. Good. Okay, well, at least I've resolved that. Now, I've got one last one, but I don't know if I've taken up too much time or not. I sometimes find if I'm typing an email in Outlook with JAWS, I suddenly find my focus switches to the calendar for no apparent reason.
Yeah, I can't imagine what would cause that. Would you have any idea, Stuart?
No, because actually my first question was going to be: is your wrist by any chance inadvertently hitting off your laptop mouse pad? But you're saying you're on a keyboard, so
exactly.
It's not, yeah.
I've got the laptop up on a pedestal away from me, and I'm just using the keyboard.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting one. I would probably give us a call and we can troubleshoot it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
That's
there's
fine.
nothing that comes to mind that would switch that normally.
Alrighty, that's fine. I've taken up enough of your valuable time. Thank you, as always, for an excellent show.
Nice to speak to you, Harry. Good to talk to you. Take care.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thanks
Thank you,
very
Harry.
much.
Next one, Nikki Dixon. We're going to speed through these now. Nikki,
Hello.
Hi, Nikki.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, we've got you.
Right. Okay. Quick question. I'm trying to do emails, and what I'm needing to do because of data protection is to BCC people, and I don't know how to do a BCC, and I'm just wondering how you set that up.
Is this in Microsoft Outlook, Nikki?
Yes.
And BCC field isn't there, is it?
No. And I don't know how to put it in.
It doesn't appear as standard, does it? Even
No.
in mine.
Yeah,
and
let me know. I've seen this before as well.
I have to go into the recipient. Oh, actually, I go into recipients. If you click on 2,
yeah,
then you can add. Then it gives you a choice of 3 columns. You've got 2 CC or BCC. So then you can add the email addresses that way into the BCC.
BCC, right? Okay, well that's interesting. I've never known that, because obviously sometimes, I mean, I do all sorts of work, but we have to be very careful about who you copy into an email in case, for sort of data protection reasons, and it goes, sometimes it's just easier just to BCC people in case.
Yeah, just in case. Yeah.
The other one I've just tried here, Nikki, which may also be of use. If you go into a new message with Control and N,
yeah,
and then press Alt and Q, that's the kind of quick, tell me what you want to do kind of command. And if you type BCC and down arrow once, it will say show BCC field, and that will either be ticked or not ticked. In yours, it probably won't be ticked.
So if I tick
and if
it,
you press the enter key, BCC will come in.
There you go.
Oh,
That's just I've just done it as well.
That's really helpful. Thank you
Yeah,
very
so
much
that might-
indeed,
that
Stuart.
might
You're a
be useful.
genius. Thank you.
Write it down. Write it down.
Yeah.
You stole my thunder, didn't you?
Alt Q, yeah?
I'd never do that, Carl. I wouldn't be able to. Alt Q, yeah.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nikki. Good to talk to
Thank
you.
you, Nikki. Honestly.
We love each
Right.
other, really.
I
just
know,
for everybody
right.
listening.
Mr. Summers, sir, it is all on you if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Hi again. Sorry, I've got a workaround for Liz with the apart from doing the Control Y in Outlook. If you're in your list of emails and you want to get to the folders, apart from doing Control Y, you can do Control Tab twice, and that will bring you into the folder structure. If you do it once, it will say, if you're using JAWS, it will say the calendar, and then do it again, Control Tab. It will then take you into the actual folder structure.
Excellent.
That's brilliant.
If that's any help.
Yeah,
No,
and the great thing, I like it, and the great thing is there's 3 or 4 different ways to do everything, so it means people can pick the one they want.
There's
Perfect,
more
Andrew.
than one way to skin a cat.
There
As
is.
Exactly. I haven't heard that saying in years.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
very
just
much for
thought
that,
I'd come
Andrew.
in.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Andrew.
I just
Appreciate
thought-
it.
Sorry, I accidentally might have cut him off.
Oh,
Sorry,
but you've never done that before, Carl.
I know, I can't help it. Andrew, please forgive me. But we do have to get these done. Tracy Poole, it's all yours. If you'd like to unmute yourself, please.
Hi, Tracy. Carl's countdown is on.
Oh, you've just saved yourself. Tracy.
Hi, Tracy. I think we can hear you.
You are unmuted.
Might be your mic that's not working.
Oh no. Right, Tracy, for the moment, I'm going to just drop you down to the bottom of the pile. Please forgive me. I'm just going to move to Ian Lackey. Ian, if you can unmute yourself, please.
You do have a good way with words, Carl.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello,
got
Ian.
you.
How are you doing?
A couple of things. One, Sandra, in our video, I wonder if a possible solution might be, rather than to send a video, to send a link to either a Dropbox file or some other cloud file. And the other thing, Rosie's headphones. This has been an issue for a long time. If you have a Bluetooth set of headphones and you're on something like Skype, you lose JAWS and it doesn't come back until you disconnect the headphones. The thing that James was talking about was this problem that you have if you're using a Bluetooth headset. You get clipping with JAWS, and setting that setting stops that happening. I've always found if you're using headphones with Skype or something like that, that you really are better using a wired set into either the USB port or the headphone jack.
I definitely agree with that. For Bluetooth, you get better audio quality as well.
Yeah, and the setting that James is talking about is really to do with stopping the clipping where JAWS will miss, the initial letters of a word or something like that.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks, Ian.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a million.
Thank you very much. Next, hang on 1 second. We're going on. Oh no, Tracy, I just accidentally. I am so sorry. Tracy, it's all yours. I do apologise. I kind of removed your hand accidentally.
Hopefully Tracy can unmute herself.
She should be here. Tracy?
I think we had the problem recently with you. Might be your microphone, Tracy.
Oh, sausages. Right. Sorry, that's gone. Philip Troll, it's all yours, sir. If you can unmute yourself, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can indeed. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, we have you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, hi there. Stuart. Yeah,
Hi, Phil.
this is a question about Android phones. I don't know if anybody's into that kind of stuff, but I had a Galaxy S5, which has now died, and my son has given me an S10 Plus, which is a much better phone. But on the old phone, I had a program called NotNav, and it was made by a blind person, and you couldn't get sort of routes to where to go and all that sort of thing. But what you could do with it is, if you're on the train and you stop at a station and you're not quite sure what it is because the speaker's not working or they haven't turned it on or something, you could go into NotNav and it would say, you are at Colchester. I've tried to get this on the Play Store and I can't find it anymore. Is there any program that I could get from Play Store that will actually just simply tell me where I am when I'm on a train?
James, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I am not aware of any particular Android applications there. So I think the trouble is with some of these applications, the kind of third-party applications, is Google really do insist that you have to keep them up to date, or they'll just take them off the store. But yeah, I'm not aware of any particular kind of applications that might do that.
Was this specific to train stations, Phil, or are you just looking for something to give you your location? Where am I at this moment?
Well, mainly for train stations, because, you know, I mean, I've got a small amount of sight some of the time. It comes and goes, but it's mainly just to find out where I am when I'm on a train, you know, because sometimes the speaker is so quiet you can't hear what they're saying, or it's not even on at all.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if there's no one in the carriage and you're stuck, you don't know where you are.
Yeah. I just
because sometimes some trains stop more stops than others, so it depends on what train you're on. So you can't always count the stops. So this thing, it used to actually just tell you, you know, NotNav would tell you where you were, which was really useful. And it would tell you what roads you're near and all that sort of thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was called NotNav, but as I say, I know it was written by a blind person, but I've tried to find it now and I just can't get it.
Do you know who might be somebody worth
contacting? So if anybody knows, perhaps they could they email me possibly, or if you know if you've got any ideas, it's philiptroll@gmail.com.
We just got one on chat actually from David Boyce, and he says, sorry, there's a message called sorry, there's a message called, sorry, there's an app called My Location on which is on Android. It's just called My Location. Apologies.
My Location.
And it's called My Location, and Louise Simpson is suggesting Maps, which lists your nearby stations. Soundscape I don't think has come to Android yet. The other one might be Lazarillo. There might be a few there to try.
Well, I can't work out how to use Google Maps because when you go into it, it just takes you on a screen and you can see a picture of all the sea and everything else. But TalkBack doesn't read you where you are or anything. I can't work out how to work it. Some people say they can use it, but I've not managed to work it out.
You can use VoiceBack like Siri on there, can't you? Hey Google or whatever it is, to actually give you your current location.
So just say, hey Google, where am I?
Yeah, hey Google, where am I? And hey Google, directions to the nearest train station, and then it will bring it up through Google Maps and give you voice. And I'm not a Googler, I'm not an Android, but I'm presuming it's the same as it is on Siri, that you just tell it and it tells you. And
okay, I'll try that. Thanks. Give it a go.
See, I'm not completely
really
useless.
Okay, thanks very much, guys.
Hey,
anyway,
you're very welcome. Thank you.
Interesting.
Where am I?
Take care.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks.
You're downstairs, James.
Okay, so
so
Google just said I'm in Birmingham. So,
you're about an hour from Birmingham, James.
Do you know what? Shall we try it with a proper one? Hey Siri, where am I? Oh, hang on. Oh, it even tells me on my Equilibrium house. Look, let me put the volume on.
Wow.
Hey Siri, what is my current location?
Hey Siri, where am I?
27 Square Distillery.
It just gives your address out.
Well, it didn't quite, but yeah.
It even
I
has.
think
I haven't
Apple
got my
win that
voiceover
one,
on, have
then.
I? But it has actually got full coordinates as well,
It's very
longitude
good.
and latitude. So yes, it is there. So it's, James, I'm afraid to say it's Google.
James, I'm a bit worried that it's telling you you're in Birmingham, all right?
I
don't think I'm in Birmingham.
He probably could be. Don't. Right, we are literally. Well, I'm going to do the cut off now. This is going to be the last two hands that we have at the moment. This one's for Roz Henshaw. If you'd like to unmute yourself, please.
Hi.
Hi, Roz.
Hi, everybody. Thanks. It's basically in connection with Dragon Professional that I use. It works well, but then it gradually starts to misbehave by stopping to understand what I'm saying. It pretends it's listening. If I restart my laptop and I've tried all sorts of things. Now, I have a lot of professional programs on, like Read and Write, Claro Pro, Crick Software, Kurzweil Fusion, and so on. And I don't know if the last one I put on was Read and Write. I don't know if that's upset Dragon or whether it's my laptop, which is fairly new. Just some ideas, really.
Okay, so what I find is Dragon is quite heavy on the amount of RAM. It really does kind of hog your system RAM. So I find that when a lot of other applications are running, the performance may reduce. If you have recently installed Read and Write, I believe Read and Write by default will start up automatically. So perhaps that is something that you can change in the Read and Write options. I don't have Read and Write here, but I think if you go into preferences, you should find something about startup items. And you just want to turn that off, maybe, and then you can just have Read and Write open when you come to use it. Other than that, I normally look at kind of Google Chrome plugins, because they can kind of hog quite a lot of bit of RAM as well. And yeah, that can affect your Dragon performance there. But I mean, most laptops now do have quite a decent amount of RAM anyway. But yeah, those are probably some of the things that I would look into. But again, it's probably one that we can look further into in technical support. So I'd probably just give us a call, and we can create a ticket for you, and we can look into that further.
They do say
Thank
Dragon needs 4 GB of RAM on its own.
On its own, yeah. So it's really
Can you please tell me how I can find out how much RAM I've got?
Let's have a look.
Windows key and
so I'd do Windows X, and then I just go into System, and then in that page it should tell you how much RAM. I don't know if there's a more convenient shortcut than that.
The problem is with that way, this is it will bring up one heck of a lot of information on that screen.
Can't do that now, can I, while I'm on Zoom?
In theory, yes. But in theory, no, because we'd like to...
Running out of time. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I think if you call
Totally
into support, Raj, it might be a good thing, and give the guys a shout.
Yeah, Ross, give us a call. Give us a call. We can look into that for you. That's not a problem.
Last question. 0800 0480 754. Is that the Apple accessibility helpline?
Let me just bring up that.
It is, yeah. I just checked it. You see,
okay, thank you.
0800 0480 754. Yeah, that is it. I checked it.
I've got it in front of me here.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ross.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ross.
Right. Last and lucky one, Rosie. If you could unmute yourself, please. Rosie.
10 seconds.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Oh,
we've
we
got
have you.
you.
Oh, just in time.
Yeah, okay, lovely. I'm just using the space bar actually. It was just in response to the location. I do use Soundscape, which is really good, but I think one of you said that that's not available on an Android.
I believe
But
it's
also
not, yeah.
something recently is what 3 words? And instead of, kind of how, so it's basically it's worldwide. I hope I'm explaining this correctly. And every kind of location, such as your front door or wherever you go, it's identified by 3 words. So they've done it for the whole of the world, including like the oceans, and so that could be quite helpful, because if you knew the 3-word location of where you needed to be, it would then, the what 3-word app can alert you to when you're at that location. I don't know if that's made any sense at all.
Yeah, no, it's a good, yeah, I've heard about that one, and I have yet to.
Yeah, but so instead of using like sort of a normal location, it just uses 3 words.
3 words.
Yeah, so if you knew the 3 words of the of the train station or that you wanted to get off at, then I think that's quite helpful.
And somebody on chat, Emma, has also suggested Blind Square for Phil, so that might be another one to explore on Android. So thank you for that.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Emil. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Thanks to Carl for jumping in and helping us with all the chat and raised hands. James, thanks a million for joining us today. I hope you'll come back.
Yeah, definitely.
We'd love to have you back.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for coming along. Thank you for sharing so much of your knowledge and giving us so much of your time. I know you're very busy in tech support, and when one of those guys is off, it puts a lot of work on the rest. So we do very much value the fact that you came along today. We'd love to have you back for another tech surgery in the future. Thanks everybody for joining us today. We're back in a month on the 4th of May with another webinar Wednesday. Carl and I will look forward to seeing everyone then. But until then, stay well and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys.